Have you ever felt that familiar rush of information overload? You're trying to understand something complex, maybe prepping for a big meeting, and suddenly you're just drowning in articles, reports, data. Getting to true understanding, it often feels like this incredibly slow uphill climb.
Yeah, imagine though if you could just cut through all that complexity. Find the really profound insights, not just surface stuff, and do it faster than you ever thought possible. That's the real transformation we're kind of talking about today.
Welcome to the deep dive. They were diving deep into a really groundbreaking approach for knowledge work, building what we call an augmented AI research system. Think of it as like your personal, highly intelligent research team.
Exactly. And this isn't about using just one AI tool by itself. No. It's about strategically combining multiple advanced AIs, letting them amplify each other's strengths for, well, truly incredible research. Deep dives. We're talking synergy, really.
Yeah. So our mission for you, our listener, is to walk away understanding exactly how you can set up your own version of this system. It's designed for deep, efficient knowledge gathering. And the best part, it's genuinely accessible to anyone. You don't need a super technical background.
Mm-hmm. We'll guide you through the whole process from, laying the foundation with the AI models all the way to creating a robust, maybe even public research library, one that can grow and change as your understanding evolves. So let's get into it.
Okay, before we even touch on how to build this, let's visualize the output. What are we actually aiming for here? We're talking about creating comprehensive, professionally organized research repositories.
Yeah, think of it like curating your own highly specialized public library. Imagine a digital collection, say, on sustainable urban development, and it's got dozens of detailed reports, each one focusing on specific nuanced aspects. It's like a whole knowledge ecosystem you build.
Okay, so this system reliably produces three key types of output. First up, there are your research reports. These are in-depth PDF documents generated on specific topics or hypotheses you want to rigorously explore. They're structured, verifiable.
Then you have literature reviews. These are comprehensive surveys of what other experts are saying in a field. It highlights where people agree, where they disagree strongly, and what new trends are popping up. Honestly, they save countless hours.
And finally, synthesis documents. These are highly analytical papers that blend multiple perspectives from all the research you've compiled. They reveal deeper patterns, connections, those overarching trends that aren't obvious in just one report. This is where the real insight kind of emerges.
And here's a truly cool part, I think. All this custom research, it gets organized and shared publicly through GitHub pages. This makes it not just searchable, but critically version controlled, so you can track how your understanding and the information itself evolves over time.
So what's the core benefit then of making this research publicly accessible, beyond just, keeping it for yourself?
Well, fundamentally, it builds a shared growing knowledge base that benefits everyone.
Okay, let's unpack that very first step then. The foundation of this system. It involves leveraging a powerful large language model. Right. We're talking about a premium tier here, something like ChatGPT 4.0 Pro.
Right. And when we talk about using LLMs here, it's important to stress it's not just for casual chat. A large language model basically is an AI trained on huge amounts of text. It understands and generates human-like language. We're tapping into their advanced reasoning for deep, structured research conversations, not just Q&A.
Why the premium models, though? Is it just speed?
It's simpler but profound. They spend significantly more time thinking about your questions. We're talking minutes versus maybe seconds for the free versions. That extended processing time, it leads to far more refined, expert-level answers, much more nuanced.
Right. That's the key. It's about structuring real research conversations, not just asking for a fact. You want to engage in a back-and-forth dialogue, explore the nuances, ask for counterpoints.
Exactly. So, for example, instead of just, what is a circular economy, you try something more like, okay, my hypothesis is that large-scale circular economy adoption can significantly cut carbon emissions. What specific recent evidence supports or refutes this view, and what are the economic implications? See the difference.
Yeah, much more focused.
And the real magic happens with these multi-turn conversations. You build deep context, you share links, you challenge assumptions, you ask follow-up questions. It's like having a true intellectual sparring partner,
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself sometimes, where the AI kind of starts to subtly lose focus or wander off in those longer chats. But embracing these deeper multi-turn dialogues really does help because you're continually layering more context, sort of locking in the AI to your specific research question.
Absolutely. So beyond just getting longer responses, how does that thinking time really translate into better research outcomes for us?
Well, it's not just more words. It's the internal iterations the AI goes through, leading to profoundly nuanced, genuinely expert-level answers. Okay, so once you've had those deep, multi-turn conversations, the next crucial step is formalizing your findings using something we call deep search functionality.
Right. And think of deep search not just as like a bigger, faster Google. It's more like an AI that understands the nuance of your conversation. It actively seeks out highly specific, sometimes pretty obscure sources across the web. It reads them and then synthesizes the exact answers to your complex questions, much like a dedicated research assistant would.
And then it takes everything it finds and synthesizes it into these well-structured, comprehensive
Yeah.
reports, often exportable as PDFs, you said. So it's taking that raw, maybe overwhelming web data and giving it a clear, digestible structure.
That's it. The key transition is when you feel ready to formalize all that exploratory back and forth. You just prompt the AI, okay, based on our conversation and your deep search, let's put all this together into a comprehensive report.
And to optimize these results, precision sounds absolutely critical. So instead of just write a report about urban agriculture.
Yeah, way too broad. You'd aim for something much tighter, like generate a comprehensive report analyzing the potential of urban agriculture in ensuring food security for megacities. Include successful global models and policy barriers specific to, say, Southeast Asia, and draw from peer-reviewed studies published after 2018. See how specific that is.
Got it. Very targeted.
And a vital strategy here. Avoid trying to cram everything into one giant monolithic report. Instead, break your topic down. Create multiple micro-reports, each highly focused. Think of it like building Lego blocks of data, constructing something robust from specialized parts. This modular approach makes your research way more agile, detailed, and easier to update or cross-reference later.
It sounds like precision is absolutely make or break here. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they're asking AI for these kinds of formal reports?
Oh, almost always it's being too general, too broad. The AI is powerful, but you need to steer it with incredibly detailed directions.
Okay, so now you've got these fantastic reports, maybe dozens of them. How do you organize them effectively, not just for yourself, but potentially for sharing? This is where GitHub comes in, you mentioned.
Yep, GitHub. Think of it like a central hub for all your project files. It gives you not just secure storage, but also crucial version control. It literally tracks every single change you make, so you can rewind, see how the research evolved, compare versions. It's really powerful for managing complexity over time.
So you create a new GitHub repository and structure it with clear folders, like research for the PDFs.
Exactly. Research for PDFs, maybe a scripts folder if you build any automation tools later, and a docs folder for summaries or high-level documentation. Clarity and organization is just paramount when your collection grows.
And then you just export your reports as PDFs, upload them, use good file names.
Mhm. Consistent descriptive file names. A
Wow.
well-organized structure is absolutely key for navigating what can become a rapidly growing knowledge base. You need to be able to find things.
And here's where it gets really interesting for sharing, you said. GitHub Pages, how does that work?
Yeah, GitHub Pages lets you effortlessly turn your entire repository into a publicly accessible website, just like that.
A website from your files.
Pretty much. It creates a dynamic, searchable, and browsable index for all your research. It essentially transforms your collection into a public digital library. You can even use AI coding assistants like GitHub Copilot to help automate generating that index page. It makes sharing and discovery so much easier.
Okay, so how does GitHub Pages really help you share your insights beyond just, having a folder of PDF files somewhere?
It makes your research a public, browsable, shareable website, not just a collection of files.
All right, so once you've built up a substantial collection of research, let's say 20, 50, maybe even 100 reports, you need tools to analyze across all of them, right? To see the bigger picture. This is where Google's NotebookLM comes into play.
Exactly. What's really fascinating about NotebookLM is its truly massive context window. It can process dozens, maybe even hundreds of documents all at once. This allows for a genuinely holistic analysis, spotting connections that honestly no human could manually track across that much material.
So you just upload all your PDF research reports into a single NotebookLM notebook,
Yeah.
and it can handle large collections without slowing down.
That's the key. Unlike some other tools, it handles large collections without bogging down or hitting performance walls. It's really built for scale. You can throw a lot at it.
And one of its coolest features, you mentioned, is automatically generating a mind map.
Yeah, it's incredibly intuitive. It gives you a visual representation of all the topics, the subtopics, and importantly, the connections it finds across all your uploaded documents. It's kind of like seeing the neural network of your own research knowledge laid out visually.
Wow, this visual approach, the mind map. That
Yeah.
sounds like it really helps you spot patterns, gaps, hidden connections you might just never see otherwise. Whoa. I mean, imagine synthesizing insights from hundreds of reports almost instantly. Not just seeing the individual trees, but the entire forest laid out. That's
Yeah.
really something.
It really is. And you can then click on any node in that mind map to drill down further. You get focused summaries and analyses based only on the relevant information pertaining to that node, pulled from across your collection. It's basically an interactive knowledge graph of your research.
Okay, the mind map is fantastic for visualization. But when you need to really dig into those complex relationships across your entire data set, how else does NotebookLM help you connect those dots?
Well, it excels at synthesizing information from many sources to answer complex questions. You can ask things like, what do my sources collectively say about the nuanced relationship between deforestation, climate migration, and changes in extreme weather patterns, specifically in the Amazon basin? It pulls from everything relevant.
Okay, so research isn't static, right? It's an ongoing thing. You need to stay updated.
Yeah.
This is where real-time AI tools become essential for maintaining this augmented research system.
Absolutely indispensable. Leveraging multiple tools, maybe ChatGPT with its web search, Gemini, Perplexity AI, gives you a broader and crucially a far more current perspective on your topic. They each have slightly different strengths in grabbing that real-time info. Using more than one is smart.
And you'd conduct regular pulse checks. What does that look like?
Yeah, like asking specific, timely questions. For example, what are the latest constructive criticisms or novel policy suggestions emerging for carbon tax frameworks, specifically regarding equity and public acceptance in developed nations? You're probing for the latest discourse.
And use those responses to spot gaps in your research or misunderstanding.
Exactly, or pinpoint new developments you need to incorporate. They can also be surprisingly effective at finding other researchers or organizations working on similar problem. Helps you expand your network.
And literature reviews, which are usually incredibly laborious, just so time-consuming. AI streamlines that process dramatically.
Oh, it's a total game changer, seriously. You can ask the AI to identify the key experts in a specific domain, map out their agreements and disagreements on particular theories, and even generate comprehensive, structured literature review reports on really niche topics. It basically distills years of scholarly debate into digestible summaries. Saves unbelievable amounts of time.
Okay, this raises a really important point, though. Once you've built this robust body of research, how do you ensure it actually holds up under scrutiny? You need to actively test it, right? Refine your framework.
That's precisely why you must actively generate counterarguments. You have to prompt the AI specifically for them. Ask things like, provide the strongest, most well-evidenced counterarguments against the premise that nuclear energy is a globally sustainable, scalable solution for climate change, considering economic and waste disposal factors. Be direct.
Always seek out those alternative and opposing viewpoints. Don't just fall into confirming your own biases. This intentional search for dissent, for what contradicts you, actually makes your research far more robust and credible in the long run.
So, what's the single most important reason, would you say, to actively seek out those counterarguments when you're doing this kind of AI-augmented research?
To challenge your own assumptions and ultimately strengthen your entire research framework. Okay, so once you have this solid, evolving research base, you can then go even deeper, using advanced analytical techniques with the AI helping you gain really sophisticated insights.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. This includes things like cross-framework analysis, comparing your own developing ideas or hypotheses against established theories or paradigms in the field. You can also do historical analysis, asking the AI to look for precedents or historical patterns in your data that might shed light on current trends.
And crucially, you mentioned multi-perspective synthesis. That sounds powerful.
It is. Imagine asking the AI, analyze the rise of remote work through economic, sociological, and urban planning lenses simultaneously, drawing connections between these fields based on my compiled research. It can then pull threads from all your different reports, economic data, social impact studies, infrastructure reports, and show how they all intertwine. You get a truly holistic understanding you couldn't easily get otherwise.
So what does this all mean for impact? I mean, research should create understanding, sure, but ultimately it should probably drive some kind of informed action, right?
That's the goal. And to achieve that, you need to create accessible summaries alongside your detailed deep dive reports. Tailor the communication, and organize your research repository in a way that clearly supports logical, compelling arguments. Arguments that can resonate with different audiences, whether they're policymakers or the general public.
And finally, maintaining and scaling the system itself sounds crucial. Using Git, you said, for version control.
Absolutely. Git, which underlies GitHub, gives you meticulous version control. It lets you track every change to your research repository over time. It's like having a complete audit trail for your knowledge base.
And regularly review for quality. Pruning the garden, as you put it.
Yep. Remove outdated or lower quality information. Keep it current and high value. And actively look for automation opportunities, like maybe automatically generating new index pages for your GitHub Pages website as you add more research PDFs. Streamline the maintenance.
We should probably also mention some common pitfalls to avoid when people try to build these systems.
Good point. First, and maybe most importantly, over-reliance on the AI. Always critically evaluate and verify every single claim the AI makes. Human judgment is key.
Second, information overload. Just because you can generate endless reports doesn't mean you should. Focus on quality over sheer quantity.
Third, lack of organization. Clear structures, good naming conventions, they're absolutely vital from day one. Otherwise, it becomes unusable quickly.
And finally, insufficient verification. Always try to verify important claims, especially the really crucial ones, from multiple independent sources. Don't just take the AI's word for it.
Human oversight is the ultimate quality control layer.
So, boiling it down, what's maybe the single biggest threat to doing effective AI-augmented research?
I'd say over-reliance on the AI, that human critical thinking component remains absolutely essential.
So if we connect all this back to the bigger picture, this augmented AI research stack, this whole system, it represents a pretty fundamental shift, doesn't it, in how complex knowledge work can actually be done. It's really not about replacing human intelligence.
No, not at all. It's about amplifying it. The AI handles the immense, often incredibly tedious, heavy lifting, processing vast amounts of information, sophisticated organization, stuff humans aren't great at or find boring. This frees you, the researcher, for the higher level stuff, deep analysis, critical thinking, and that truly creative synthesis that, frankly, only a human mind can achieve right now.
And you don't need to build the entire system perfectly overnight, right?
Absolutely not. Start small. Experiment with just one component, maybe two. Perhaps a premium LLM for conversations and NotebookLM for analysis. Get comfortable. Then gradually expand as you see the value and figure out what works best for your needs.
The future of research, it really feels like it's here. And it's becoming incredibly accessible to anyone who's curious enough to explore these tools.
It really is.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider how these augmented systems might transform not just how we find information, but fundamentally, what kinds of questions we even dare to ask, pushing the boundaries of our understanding in ways we couldn't before. Out T-Row music.